Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to BiblioTech On Air. I'm Ruby.
And I'm Lewis.
And today we have a very special guest, April Monterrosa. She is a San Antonio native, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and business mentor. You may commonly know her as the host of the April Monterrosa Show on KLMO 98.9 FM, as well as the publisher for Live from the Southside magazine, the first woman-owned publication in Southside San Antonio. Check out the Live from the Southside magazine for free with your BiblioTech library card on BiblioBoard. So thank you for coming out with us and talking with us today, April.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So to start off, you are the publisher for the Live from the Southside magazine. What was the idea behind starting this magazine? And it was originally launched in 2020, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
So I was wondering, did COVID have any influence in starting this project, or has it been something that you have wanted to start from a younger age?
COVID had plenty to do with it, to be honest with you. So what a lot of people don't know is I used to own a spa beauty business for 12 years prior to my media life. And during that time, I became a travel writer. My niche was small Texas towns. So I love like San Saba, Llano, Fredericksburg, those little pretty towns, right, that people typically don't visit too much, right, because they want to go to Corpus and Houston.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would share all the hidden gems of these small towns. And I wanted to do that for my Southside community, because when you think of San Antonio, you think of the Alamo and you think of the Riverwalk.
Naturally.
But we're the ones that have the river running through it wildly, Mission Reach, and all the missions and all the pretty outdoor sculptures and things like that, right, that do not exist in other parts of the city. So it was a combination of that and COVID. When COVID happened, I had to shut down my beauty business. And I just thought of, okay, I need a creative outlet. What am I going to do? One of my mentors, who I used to write for her magazine, she says, why don't you just launch your own? What else are you going to do? It's COVID. We're quarantined, right? So I launched Live from the Southside. I had no plan with it. It was kind of a creative outlet COVID project. And I didn't think that my community was going to be so supportive. And it just took off.
That's wonderful.
That's amazing.
And so it launched in 2020, and you have about 14,000 followers now.
Well, we have about 18,000 subscribers
Wow.
that receive the publication, the digital version, via email every month.
I see. That's wonderful.
Yes.
And that's a lot of growth for something that just started as like it's COVID, like a bit of like a pet project, For that amount of growth in 4 years, that's tremendous. That's incredible.
Thank you.
What did it entail to like grow that big, that fast? Was that like a stressful process at all, or did you have any struggle like getting the word out, or was it kind of an immediate, like, people were interested, people were in on it?
It's funny that's a very good question. No one's ever asked me that, and I've been interviewed quite a bit. I didn't even think about the following. I was going through a really tough time because I had to shut down my business of 12 years.
Right.
That was my baby. That's all I knew was the hospitality spa industry. And I loved it. I had a clientele and everything. So my focus was, okay, what am I going to do now? Because I still have a mortgage. I still have bills coming in.
Right.
And then I launched this thing, Live from the Southside, and every news outlet reached out to me, and they're like, you're the first Latina female to do this in your Southside community. And I was like, what? No way.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be on TV or anything because I'm a writer. I'm in the background. I don't want to be the subject. And my mentor, who guided me through this whole journey in the beginning, she's like, girl, you better get your butt on TV because you don't know what that can do for this brand that you're creating. You're not even realizing it. So once all that happened, and I also treated my own media launch like I would one of my marketing clients that I was doing with travel. I think it was just the being authentic and telling the stories of my quote unquote underserved community that were not told. I think it just grabbed an audience.
Yeah.
And it just grew organically. I really have not ever been one about followers. My whole thing is the storytelling, connecting my community with opportunities and resources through storytelling. So it's just kind of snowballed from that.
I really
That's,
have
yeah.
this.
That's wonderful. I really, really respect the dedication more to the community as opposed to the popularity of it all. Just it is really important to make sure that if you're making something for a community, that you are keeping your focus on making sure that that community is served. And I think that you've done a wonderful job at that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
How do you choose what like goes into your content, or like how do you find all these new like small businesses and new places that you want to connect the community to?
You know, I don't have to dig so much at all because the community reaches out to us. I say us because I have a small team now. They share stories with us all the time. And I think what helps us connect with these people that are bringing these stories to us is I'm very boots on the ground, especially when it involves like my youth writers program that we have attached to the publication, career days, anything related to youth, financial literacy. I show up myself and I meet the families. And I think that when you create relationships like that within your community, you gain trust. So people are like, I know who can help you, or I know who can share your story. So they just kind of come. And I really think it's because of that.
Yeah. And there's always such, I feel like we do have just such a lovely network of people here in San Antonio. No matter like what part of San Antonio you're in, I think that there's always going to be people wanting to share their experiences. There's always going to be people wanting to make sure that their neighbor is taken care of, you know? And I think that having that access to or having that platform to amplify the voices of people who just want to get other people connected with their community in one way or another, I think that's a spectacular role to play in all of this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did people ever ask you, or did you ever think about running for like a small council or small
I get
government?
that all the time. Yes, I get that all the time. That's not really interested me. I actually am a graduate of the Latina Leadership Institute through the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which that leadership program is to polish you up for politics. That wasn't my reason for joining. It was more for the networking and just to get connected with other like-minded women doing great things in the city that I did not know. So that was my whole goal with that. And I'm very glad that I made that choice. And I sit on their steering committee. So again, I'm involved with that, right? I get asked that all the time.
I bet.
I know. You sound like you would be a great, great asset, but you are already a great asset with what you're doing right now.
Thank you so much.
So you started your media career 15 years ago, where you founded a travel and lifestyle blog. What was that experience like? And can you compare what it was like to be a, quote, a social media influencer, quote, back then to how it is now?
That is a great question. So I started accidentally 15 plus years ago. And in fact, last year I was talking to my mentor about it because she's like, girl, we've come so far. Because she used to run a publication, and then she ran a second publication that was just about tequila. She was a publisher of a lifestyle magazine 15 years ago. And somehow, power of social media, she saw that I was posting beauty tips. And I was only posting beauty tips because I couldn't afford a big marketing team for my business. And she reached out and she's like, I want you to do this for my publication. I'm going to give you like a beauty column.
Wow.
I can't pay you because I'm new, but I can show you how to market yourself for your business. I'm like, didn't think anything of it. If anything, I was like, what? Okay, why not? And we just became, she's still in my life to this day. She travels all over the U.S. in her RV. I think she's in Maine right now. She's super cool.
Wow.
So yeah, she taught me the ropes. I wrote for her beauty column. And I'm going to like magazine launches and events and things like that. And then Instagram was born.
Right.
So I start practicing using my Instagram for my beauty stuff, but on my own platform. And I'm 4'11". I go fishing and I go hunting and I am very outdoorsy, but I'm girly. So I'm posting, you know, me on a 4-wheeler and I'm fishing, but I have my nails done, my makeup's done, right?
Right.
So people are like, that's kind of different, you know, and I don't have biological children. At the time, I was a new auntie. So I'm doing the auntie stuff. And then my whole small Texas town niche was a lot of distilleries, wineries, things like that, right? So I'm sharing all these things. And then I believe Houston reached out to me, Houston, Texas, the city. And they're like, we want to host you. We want you to come and spend a weekend with us and we'll take good care of you and send us your rates. And I was like, what? I had no idea that was a thing. Back to Lisa, my mentor and friend. She's like, girl, just say yes and we'll look up rates. We'll figure something out. Because they basically want to pay you to be on vacation.
Yeah.
Right.
So I started doing that, and Houston led to Dallas, to Corpus, to Rockport. But back then, to your question about social media back then and now, back then we actually sat with the business owner. We sat with city officials and literally asked questions and wrote. True journalism. Now, everything's video. Everything's 30 seconds. You know, no disrespect to the influencer now, right? Because a lot of them are very cute. They're young and they're dancing and they're doing all these things. But where's the story of the place?
Yeah.
I think that is lacked a lot now. And I refuse to change that about my platform. Because I want to tell the stories and I want people to know why you should visit here, not just because it's a cute Instagram post. Like, there's more to the story. And there are people that still want to know those stories, no matter the age. That still does exist. So yeah, social media is very different now. I think they've gotten so visual. That's more important. Oh, she's cute. He's cute. That's why I follow him.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, versus the actual story told. And I hope that changes. I hope that gets so boring.
Yeah.
They go back to the storytelling.
Yeah.
Because like anything, trends go.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like the trends come and go, but the actual place will still be there and it'll still have the history that it has.
Correct.
And it'll still have the people that it has, you know? And I think that especially now, since everything is, like you said, like 30 seconds, like YouTube short, Instagram reel, things like that, like everyone is trying to do the most with that amount of time because they don't know if anyone's going to want to take the time to actually delve deep. But it's more important to make sure that those stories are readily accessible for people who are willing to read, as opposed to, you know, just being like, well, that's not, you know, it's not profitable. People aren't clicking. I need to like keep everything down by like 30 seconds tops, 10 seconds maybe, you know. I think that it's still very valuable, and I do hope that people flock back to the story of it all by the time that it kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
And that's awesome that you guys feel that way, being way younger than me, because your age demographic, they want the 30-second cute outfit, quick thing, right? Most of them.
Right.
But yeah, I think that a lot of younger social media influencers, they're not telling the actual stories.
Yeah.
Their outfits are cute, but
Yeah.
I would hope we see that change sometime soon. Because you said we're young and you're surprised that we notice things like that.
Yeah.
Like I've been noticing, like, unfortunately, a lot of small businesses like closing down. Like, they've been here for so many years and unfortunately they had to close. And I'm like, oh, that's so sad. You know, like, how can we stop that from happening, keep that alive? And I feel like what you're doing is helping get their story out, you know, and get their message out. And we want to save like all the small businesses that we can.
So pivoting a bit, you are the recipient of a President's Lifetime Achievement Award. And I wanted to ask how you ended up getting such an award, what the experience was like receiving that award. And if I'm not mistaken, that's for getting completing 4,000 or so hours and you're serving your community.
I believe it's 10,000.
Oh my God.
10,000. My goodness. Earlier I said 14,000 in terms of followers and it was 18,000. Now it's 10,000. Goodness gracious.
Yes.
How's that been?
I've actually collected quite a few awards in the last year and a half. It's crazy, but that's the big one. My life has been really busy this past year and a half, like super busy. So I didn't have any like formal, event ceremony to receive the award, which is fine. So I got that award for serving on the Pink Berets board. So the Pink Berets is a nonprofit organization that provides resources to female veterans who have been sexually traumatized in the military and outside the military.
Gotcha.
I started with them 10 years ago when they were literally in a cubicle office. Now they're a worldwide known nonprofit.
Wow.
And I'm very good friends with the founder and her right-hand man. I'm just very big on female empowerment, on helping women that truly want to better their lives and want to go through a healing process. And they just don't know how to do that. I'm very big on that. I was very blessed and did not grow up in that type of environment. That's why. And sometimes they just need a strong friend to be like, hey, girl, forget all that. Like, let's go to the good stuff over here, right? Anyway, I do a lot of mentoring and teaching classes with them on their retreats. So I get to wear my beauty hat with that. And I teach self-care classes, but it's combined with inner self-care. And we do spa masks and we do all kinds of stuff. And it's an overnight thing. It's usually in Baffin Bay, Texas, and in Brownwood, Texas. I do this twice a year, not including all the events they have in San Antonio.
Right.
I also utilize Live from the South Side, and I utilized my travel blog at the time to get the word out on these resources and just kind of be a connector to the nonprofit for potential sponsors and things like that. I've done that for going on 12 years, 11 years maybe. And you don't even realize that you're putting in that much time. So the founder, I guess, was like, okay, we need to do something for you and her team that she started with in that cubicle that was like probably half this size, no joke.
Wow.
And now she's a woman of worth for L'Oreal.
Wow.
She's gotten to speak in front of Congress for laws to be changed. I mean, she was part of the Vanessa Guillen movement. I'm talking big stuff.
Yeah.
And I've always been in the background, sending out media releases, contacting the news, utilizing my connections, my relationships just to help the nonprofit. So that's where that award came from. And a lot of people don't know that. They're like, oh, wow, you won this award. They don't even know half the stuff. Because I really don't share a lot of that. But yeah, that's how I got that award.
That's amazing.
I was actually in California when they told me, we have a surprise for you when you get back. And I'm like, you're not going to do that to me.
Make me wait.
You're going to tell me what it is.
Yeah.
And then finally, maybe about a month ago, I actually got to get my medal. I think I have it posted somewhere on social media, but my presidential medal and my big certificate and all that.
Wow. Listen, if nothing else, let this be your celebration. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like that's such phenomenal work. And I feel like people knowing you from Live from the South Side would probably be more likely to assume that it was, you talking about and like archiving the stories of your community that has led to you getting that achievement. But it's wonderful to know like where those hours actually came from and that there is an organization that is dedicated to maintaining the welfare of women who've been through such terrible things, like that's
yes. They've been through terrible things and in war at the same time. These women are phenomenal. The Brownwood retreat specifically, it's about 4 days long, and they get to do archery, fishing, all kinds of events. I teach my self-care wellness class. They get to go through all these different, fun things that they normally wouldn't be able to do in a large setting, because it's more comfortable for them, right? And just to see them at the end of the retreat, how at peace they are and how empowered they are, that they can actually go out and do things for themselves, right? It's just, there's no describing that feeling. Yeah.
That's excellent. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
And we will be back after these messages.
Unlock a world of knowledge and entertainment with your very own BiblioTech card. Visit bearbibliotech.org to register online or stop by one of our 4 convenient locations. With your BiblioTech card, you gain access to thousands of ebooks, audiobooks, and a variety of cutting-edge technology services, all for free. Whether you're looking to dive into a new book, join a tech class, or explore 3D printing, BiblioTech has something for everyone. Don't wait. Get connected today at bearbibliotech.org or visit us in person. BiblioTech, your library without limits.
And now we're back. So you are also the host of your very own radio show, the April Monterrosa Show on KLMO 98.9 FM. Is this something that you started doing after launching Line from the South Side, or did you start it before?
No, it came after. So I actually hosted a video release launch party for another fellow radio personality and artist, Savannah V. She actually was on American Idol.
Oh, nice.
And she's from the South Side.
Very nice.
So I did a whole thing on her. She got to perform on my SA Live segment. KSAT helped share the word about that. And she was, or she still is, a radio personality at KLMO. So I got to meet them that way. And we just figured we'd have a partnership. I have one with KSAT and SA Live. I don't have the radio. And they were like, let's do it. So we launched that. And then it's family owned. So I got to know the owners. And at the time, I didn't know that they had stations in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
All over Texas. And they have TV stations. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we want to give you a show. We think you'd be great. And I'm like, no. I've never done radio. No. I'm like, they're like, you're already doing it. You already interview people. Like, you're just on the radio.
Yeah.
It's no different. I'm like, no, because you have music takes. You have, like, I don't know any of that. And I'm like, I know I could totally Google it, right? It's not hard. Well, it's harder than what it seems.
Right.
I mean, you guys know y'all are on mics. It's not that easy.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand.
So I decided to try it. And I named it Life Stories because I was like, if it flops, my name's not on it.
Yeah. That's a good.
And my mentor, Lisa, she was like, why did you name it that name? I'm like, because what if it flops? She's like, it's not going to flop. You should have just named it after you. I'm like, I'm not doing that. She makes fun of me. She says, you're going to be the Latina Oprah. And so I noticed it was doing well, but I knew it could be doing much more well. So I got brave and I took Life Stories off and I just put the April Monterrosa Show and it took off. And now it's on Roku.
Oh, nice.
So now it's on Roku Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and on air and their app.
Wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I can't wait to see it turn into
We
video.
gotta get BiblioTech on there.
Oh, yeah. We're open.
Because I love everything you guys are doing. And more people need to know about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, is the content that you promote on your radio show similar to what is seen live from the South Side?
Yeah, it is. It is similar. My whole mission for the April Monterrosa Show on the radio is to highlight unique Tejanos doing empowering things in their communities. So not specifically from the South Side, but all over. And Live from the South Side is not just the South Side anymore either because of our reach. That is, of course, will always be our focus. to empower our Southside community and connect them with resources and opportunities. But we share throughout our city, throughout Texas because of my travel relationships, and now beyond because my travel relationships throughout Texas have led me to relationships all over the U.S.
Wow.
So there is a travel section to kind of, share with San Anto, like, there's more out there to see.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So through our library, we have a bunch of resources for all sorts of people, anyone who wants to utilize our services, including students. And there are a lot of people who, through us, see an opportunity to start a creative project. We have a lot of resources regarding like starting all sorts of creative projects. And that would include something like a podcast or radio channel or something like that. And I wanted to know if you had any advice for anybody who is looking to start out in something like that.
Just do it.
Fair.
Just do it. All Nike, right? No, just do it. So I know that there are a ton of podcasts out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my biggest piece of advice is to not watch what everyone else is doing. I know people see all the social media hits, they see all the followers, and they're like, oh, I got to do what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize that the reason that is working for them is because that is their niche.
Mm-hmm.
That is their personality. Those are their ideas. But just because you try to copy it, which you can't 100% copy anyone,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get that same, response. You need to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
You need to figure out what story you want to tell, and you need to be consistent.
Right.
People get very discouraged. They start blogs, they start podcasts, and it didn't go viral, so they quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, those would be my pieces of advice for that.
How do you get your word out to like thousands of people? How did you get so many people to know who you are and know?
In my case, it was before.
Mm-hmm.
I had started SouthsideSanAntonio.com, the blog,
Mm-hmm.
before it was Live from the Southside. And I just went to networking events and I started sharing about it. And I started, meeting people with really cool stories or small businesses. And I'm like, I would love to interview you. Well, who doesn't want to be interviewed?
Yeah.
Right? Well, you'd be surprised. Some people don't like to be interviewed, but most do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I just started building relationships. So I think that's what you need to do. Build relationships with the people or the businesses and organizations that can help you
Mm-hmm.
get the word out, and kind of maybe cross promote,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like the libraries
Mhm.
where y'all are a digital library, but you're still a library,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and kind of cross promote each other, all the great things that you guys do. So I think it's relationships.
It's all about networking.
Correct.
It always is. At the end of the day, it's
I don't
all
care
about
how much
networking.
you post.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, social media is so saturated now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the real life connections that matter.
Yeah, I think people get so intimidated by the idea of networking just because it seems like this kind of like, oh no, I have to go out and I have to be my perfect self and I have to represent myself perfectly. But I think that, especially in your case, there's so many just human stories out there. There are people who are trying to pursue their passions. And if just on a human level, y'all get together and you realize you're doing a great thing, I'm doing a great thing, let's let other people know. Mm-hmm. I feel like that spreading the word and networking ends up becoming just more about like knowing great people and knowing that there are other people who are successful for great reasons, and
sure.
letting other people know that, hey, we can all benefit from lifting each other up, I think that's kind of the power of networking that people don't usually think about.
Mm-hmm.
It's super easy. I mean, go to networking events, have your card, introduce yourself, and just be like, hey, I work for BiblioTech and we offer blah, blah, here's my card, get cards, send an email. Hey, I met you, whatever, this is what I do. Let me know how I can help you. Just that alone opens up the door for a relationship. That's super simple. You don't have to go to networking events and be like, all entertaining.
Yeah.
And if you go to networking events and everyone, stop going to those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You need to go to ones that you don't know anybody.
That's great advice.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So are there any upcoming projects or events or books, because you are also an author, coming up that you would like to share with us to keep an eye out for?
Well, I just launched Razoo in the Wetlands, which I need to get the digital version here. And it is a story inspired by Mitchell Lake Audubon Center, which is a hidden gem. It's a wetlands and nature preserve on the south side of San Antonio. And my little dachshund Razoo, he gets lost at Mitchell Lake and learns a life lesson.
Aw.
Yes, I'm working on a guide to the South Side book. My goal with that is to provide people traveling or people within the community that don't know all our hidden gems. And then I'm launching live from the West Side.
Awesome.
Very nice. Very nice.
And the East Side's coming right after that. I'm not going to have a whole separate platform for that because Live from the South Side alone does very well. Our Facebook will hit a nice 7.8 million in a month. Just the Facebook page.
Wow.
And if it's not broken, don't fix it, right?
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight West Side and East Side stories on Live from the South Side. Live from the South Side is now rooted in the South Side community. It's not South Side focused. And then we'll have a section in the publication for the East and the West Side stories.
Wonderful.
So that's coming. I have a busy end of the year.
Very.
But yeah, that's coming.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
We'll keep an eye out, definitely, because
For sure.
you know, we're from West Side. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
like
well.
we work on the West Side, and
Okay.
so I getting to know more about what's around us, you know, and getting to appreciate
sure.
that will
For
be
sure.
100%. I'm going to be reading.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we like to ask people that we interview, we like to ask each other, like across our branches, this question very often, just so we can keep the conversation going. What are you currently reading, watching, or listening to?
Oh my goodness. Reading, I have not been able to read anything because I'm always reading the magazine
Right.
for work. I've just been working on my book and listen to, well, I'm near 50, so I like Dave Matthews Band, John Mayer.
Very nice.
I just took my stepdaughters to their first concert to see Melanie Martinez.
Oh,
wow.
nice.
Which was actually pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of her music, but her theatrical performance was like really cool.
She puts on a show.
She really does.
She does. I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was impressed that my stepchildren made it up till 11:30. But that's pretty much it. I'm pretty busy. I've gotten better with time management, so I try to make time for my family and all the extra, projects that I do aside from the publication and the show and public speaking and all that fun stuff I get to do. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much.
So that was all the questions that we had for you today.
Okay.
Was there anything else that you wanted to tell us about or
No.
promote?
That's pretty much it. Y'all asked some really good questions.
Thank you. I really wanted to know these questions just because your profile was so detailed and had so much going on. So I appreciate
you.
all the advice you gave us. I know it's going to help us as with our own podcast, and I hope the listeners out there too got some great insight on how to get started and what it takes to become very influential in the way that you are. So thank you once again for coming out and interviewing with us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, so thank you guys for listening with us today. I am Ruby,
And I'm Lewis.
and we'll see you next time.